I said, I think I have something to say. I wish I could find a larger audience. I mean, when I would go to a storytelling show in LA, we were lucky if there were 40 people there. Okay. So this 30-year-old said, oh, you should go on TikTok. And I said, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would anybody want to hear this old Jewish New York lady kvetching and complaining on TikTok is for young, beautiful girls twerking and showing how to put on makeup. And she said, trust me, you will go viral. Very soon after, I did indeed go viral. But one of the themes of my book is when somebody suggests that you do something, your mantra should be, yeah, why not? I said, I think this is crazy, but yeah, why not? It was like, what could I lose?
Funny how.
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you
I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're busy. I know you're making your rounds. But I wanted to connect with you mainly because your social media is fantastic. We're going to get into that in a sec. But your book, which I read, and I love it because it's true to you, Annie, which, of course, considering the title, it better be.
That's right.
The Book of Annie. But it's fantastic. I kind of want to break down a couple key points. But before we get into that, tell me a little bit about kind of where you got your start, an origin story, and then kind of where you're at now and what you're up to.
Well, my origin story has been very late in happening. I'm 86 and I'm busier now and getting more attention than I ever have. I wish I had this kind of business when I was 40 or 50. Doesn't matter when it happens as long as it happens, right?
That's
So
right.
I'm basically an actor. A lot of you may know me from Seinfeld. I had a recurring on Seinfeld. As a matter of fact, you live in Florida. I was Doris Clompus down in the Florida condo.
That's right.
My husband Jack is always fighting with Jerry's father. So I'm in some of the classic episodes, the pen, the Cadillac, Raincoats. And then since my part was not very large or significant, they had me do a second character. So I usually play obnoxious ladies. For some reason, that's my specialty. So I'm sitting next to Elaine when she's stuck in coach and Jerry has been upgraded to first class. So I've been fortunate. I'm in some of the greatest Seinfeld episodes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot so I've been
Oh,
an
if I
actor.
not to interrupt you, I'm sorry. Before you move on from Seinfeld, by far one of my favorite shows still to the day. So I remember you very clearly, and you are in some of the highlighting episodes. It's such a great show. So I'm sure it was a great team to work with as well.
It
But
was.
you did great though. Shout out to Annie there.
It, well, later on, as we get into this, I'll tell you a strange story about how I got that because it
Oh
was
yeah.
like everything in my life, it was totally accidental. Um, but anyway, I was an actor, but I never had enough verse in that work. And my husband said, you should try writing. And since I come from improvisational comedy, improv is really writing on your feet. So I thought, okay, and I started writing
Yeah.
some stuff, and I started selling some articles here and there, and I started doing something called storytelling. Do you know The
Hmm.
Moth by any chance? You ever listen to The Moth? It's a great, themoth.org, and they're on the radio, the Moth Radio Hour. It's a storytelling organization. So storytelling, basically, it's a new literary form, telling a personal, hopefully humorous essay about yourself that's around 10 minutes long.
Hmm.
And I became addicted to that. I did a lot of that and I turned it into solo shows. And then one day I said to a very young friend, a 30-year-old friend, I said, I think I have something to say. I wish I could find a larger audience. I mean, when I would go to a storytelling show in LA, we were lucky if there were 40 people there. Okay.
Wow.
So this 30-year-old said, oh, you should go on TikTok. And I said, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would anybody want to hear this old Jewish New York lady kvetching and complaining on TikTok is for young, beautiful girls who are, twerking and showing how to put on makeup. And she said, trust me, you'll go viral. And we started it just before the lockdown. And very soon after, I did indeed go viral. I
Wow.
still don't quite understand it, but one of the themes of my book is when somebody suggests that you do something, your mantra should be, yeah, why not? And that's what I did. I said,
Yeah.
I think this is crazy, but yeah, why not? It was like, what could I lose? And
That's
it
right.
totally changed my life in every way.
Wow. That's amazing. Such a great story, and I think I've talked to so many people because I'm in the creator space and have been for a while. I'm very fortunate to interview a lot of people that started on TikTok and now have become very successful. And as we know, there's I don't know if you follow some of these other TikTok creators, but different folks have gotten their own reality shows from this and brand
Mhm.
deals and different
Right.
energy drinks and drinking and all this crap. And it's so fantastic. And I think to answer your question, why it happened, well, I think it happened because TikTok in particular, unlike a lot of other social media things, um, people want a real person. They don't want.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because when I got stopped, which I love because I'm an actor, I'm a whore, I'm an attention whore, I like attention. And my fans stop me in the street all the time, which I appreciate. And they're all very young. They're
Yeah,
like, some of them are even as young as teen. Some of them are actually high school kids, but I get
yeah.
college kids and I get, what are 20-year-olds? Are they millennials? What are 20? Or no, they're
I
Gen
think those are
Z.
Gen Z now. Yeah,
I think they're Gen Z.
yeah.
And I actually say to them, I said, just explain something to me. What is it that you find? Why do you watch me? And the word they always use is because you're authentic.
Mm,
And what does that mean? I think it means that they know I'm expressing myself honestly, that I give honest opinions, and I sometimes admit to my own failings. I'm not there to brag.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but that I've always done as a writer and as a storyteller, that
yeah,
that I've always tried to be totally honest
yeah, Ye-
about how I see my own life, how I see other people's, how I see the world. And
yeah.
so I guess you're right. They're seeing in me, and I think there's a new interest now in older women, the wisdom, the inspiration. It's a long time coming,
Of
and
course.
it's about time.
Yeah,
But I appreciate it. I feel that women in my age are getting more respect now, and I think it started with Betty White, quite frankly.
yeah. Absolutely. Ugh, what an icon. Wow, my goodness. I don't know if it was probably her. I think that kind of set the precedent when it comes to like actors and actresses. Like, kind of when you're that age, you could be so massively successful. I always kind of thought when I was a kid, when you're 80, that was it. Like, start packing your bags,
It's over,
right?
right?
And I would
Yeah, no,
imagine,
I'm just
when you
beginning,
were, yeah, literally. And,
just
that's,
starting. I'm doing a lot of things now for the first time in my life. I just taught my first college class, a college workshop in story. I taught storytelling
that's so
at
amazing.
Emerson College here. But oh,
Yeah.
by the way, you talked about
Mm,
the title of my book. One mistake I made, a big
uh,
stupid mistake that I made, and my agent and my editor, we called the Book of Annie.
uh,
Humor, heart, and chutzpah from an accidental influencer. That's the entire title. Well, when it first came out, I think it's changed now, but when it first came out, if you went to Amazon and looked up the Book of Annie, guess where it would take you? To the Book of Annie the musical.
the
And I
Annie.
looked like I have red hair. I was wearing the red thing. I mean, so it was, I thought, oh my God, what a stupid titles are really important.
Yeah.
And you
But that's got
have
to
to
be good
think
for sales,
through.
though. No, Annie?
No, it was the opposite. People said, "Well, I looked for your book and I couldn't find it." So then I said, "Well,
Oh,
just look for it under my name, Annie Korzen." Now I
nice.
think the book has gotten enough traffic so that it will take you there.
Yeah.
But for a while, I was very annoyed. I think I was losing sales because people couldn't, they went to the Book of Annie and couldn't find me.
Oh, man. See, I thought they would be like, they're looking for the musical and then your face shows up. They're like, oh, this looks interesting. Yeah, let me do that.
Well, yeah, I wonder. That's
maybe,
right.
maybe you
Maybe
can
it
be in
works
the,
the other way. I wonder. That would be
yeah,
nice.
maybe you could be in the next Broadway picture of Annie, the musical. You could be in the reboot.
Right, right. But by the way, I want to tell you about getting Seinfeld because it's again my thing of yeah, why not? I did not have much of a significant career at that time, and I don't have that much now. Except I'm known now. I'm kind of known. I'm still a bit player, but I'm a known bit player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they know that I'm somebody who can deliver. I can get a laugh on one line when they need someone who can just do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, at that time. I got a call from my agent, and he said, "Listen, there's this new show. I don't know anything about it." And it turned out a better known actress in his office had turned down the audition because she said, "It's just a few lines. I don't know the show." And I said, my usual, "Well, yeah, why not? I'll read for it." I
Yeah.
read my few lines. I got the job. We watched it at home. This was 91. So this was the Penn episode. And my husband watched it and he said, well, I don't get this show. It's not about anything. Famous last words. Now he watches at least 2 or 3 episodes every night.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't know that that role would recur. And I didn't know they would give me another role. And I didn't know that the show would become this global phenomenon. So when I said, yeah, why not? And I just had a few lines, I think of all my lines total on the whole, on all the 4 or 5 episodes I did, I don't think I had as many as 30 lines. But
Wow.
since that time in 1991, I have earned over $100,000 in residuals from
Wow.
that show. So the actress, so what I'm saying is when you say, yeah, why not? You don't know what you might miss. I just took a chance. I didn't know. It's an
Yeah.
audition. It's a day's pay. I'm going to go. I'm not going to say no to anything.
Of course. Wow. What a
So I
yeah.
often
That's
wonder about that actress, what she thinks when she watches it. She must know because she's an actress. She knows what that show has done.
instant
So
regret
don't
is what
turn
that
down.
is.
I think people are too afraid to take chances. Does that resonate with you?
It does, yeah. And I personally think it's just in my experience talking to friends and people that don't take chances. It's because you're worried about what other people are going to think. That's typically, I
Always.
think, what it resonates with, because it's never like what you want, right? Like you were just working, you were doing your gig, you were saying yes to things. But I think a lot of people, when they're like, "Ooh, I want to do that, I think I should," they're always going to think like, "What is mom and dad going to think? What is my friends going to think? What, am I wasting my time?" It's always that
Well, I think
noise.
you're absolutely right. I think that's more young people. Now, I don't give a shit what people think
That's
because
right.
I know I'm right. I know I'm wise. I have
Yeah.
life experience. But I'll tell you, it's very interesting that you should say that because it's another theme of my book, The Book of Annie. um,
Not the musical.
all my life, I have been criticized for being too blunt, too talkative, too outspoken, too opinionated.
Mm.
I was told they were unattractive qualities, particularly in women. Thank you very much.
Mm.
And I always apologized. I always felt bad. I thought, oh, why can't I be a girly girl? Why can't I just be,
Yeah.
not
What
as
everyone
not
wants me to be. Yeah.
and I always felt bad about it.
Yeah.
Now, my young fans are celebrating me for the exact same qualities that I always apologize. Oh, we love your voice. Oh, we love your opinions. Oh, tell us more. Oh, we can listen to you all day. And
Mm.
so, what I want to say to people is, don't be imprisoned by other people's negative opinions of you, like what you just said. Don't worry about what other people are going to think. And that takes a long time to learn because we all want to please, right? We want to be
Yeah.
liked. Everybody wants to be loved. If now someone would say to me, and it's always a man who says this is not, I don't,
Yeah.
if a man would say to me, you're very talkative, you talk a lot, I would not apologize. I would say, you're absolutely right. I do talk a lot, and perhaps you should listen to what I have to say. You might get something out of it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
didn't have the confidence when I was younger. I
Yeah.
just wanted everyone to like me, and I felt bad that I just wasn't likable.
Yeah. And by the way, I think if people are listening out there, Annie, I think, is given the nice version. Annie, I think you say to them, well, you know what you should do, sir, is you should perhaps go fuck yourself.
I like that one. I like
Yeah. That's a
yours
good,
better.
yeah.
Here's what I'd like to say. Yes, I do talk. Here's an opinion. I am opinionated. Here's an opinion. I think you should. I like that one. I like that one a lot. How do we get to the
How did we get
point where
there?
we have the self-confidence
Yeah.
to be you? How do you get to be you? If you spend a whole lifetime, people say you're too this, you're too that,
Mm,
right?
that's such a
How do
good
you
point.
get
Yeah.
to say, you know what? Maybe that is what I am, and maybe if I do it with commitment and with grace and with style, maybe I'm worth something.
For sure. And I think there's so many great, creators out there. And so many, one thing that you probably notice with TikTok is, or they resonate to TikTok rather than Instagram or YouTube or whatever, because TikTok does give you, the creator, the person, the freedom to kind of like be yourself versus I think
Yeah.
Instagram, there's a little bit of pressure
I don't
to,
understand
you know,
Instagram. I'm on it. I'm trying to use it. I don't get it
yeah,
because I don't get pictures. I'm not visual. I like
yeah,
words. And you can't put in links. I find it very frustrating.
yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned YouTube. I have started a YouTube channel. So
good.
for those of you who are not following me on TikTok, I'm a course on TikTok, but I would like people, even if you are following me on TikTok, I would like to request that people go to Annie Korzen videos on YouTube. That's
Love it.
new, and I'm discovering something interesting. It's really a different audience. I've discovered I
Sure.
can put a TikTok that is done really well on YouTube, and it'll get very little traffic, and vice versa. I'll
Mm,
put something on YouTube that did not do well on TikTok, and it gets a lot of attention. I think it's a different audience. I think it's an older audience, quite frankly.
I could see
I think
that
people
for
over a
sure.
certain age don't use TikTok.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I noticed because you put out a lot of videos on TikTok, have you tried putting out a lot of Instagram Reels, which is like just
Well,
videos
now
on?
I'm doing that, and
You're doing
now
it?
I'm
Good.
doing that. I'm putting the TikTok as real, but I don't understand
Good.
it. It's
Yeah.
you know something. Here I am, a sort of a social media star. I don't understand the first thing about social media. I'm an old lady. I use Facebook. That's the only thing I've ever
Yeah.
used, and that's private. That's just for me and friends and family and business contacts. It's not. I
Yeah.
don't open it up. I don't accept friend requests from people I don't know.
Of course.
Um, and so this whole thing is a new world to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know a lot more about it than I do, and I don't follow it. I mean, on TikTok, I think I follow four other people who are kind of people that I know or who have approached me in some anyway. But I don't sit there and scroll through Instagram and scroll through TikTok. I still watch television at night.
Smart.
I asked
Which
a young, huh?
I was going to say that's probably why you don't look your age, because a lot of us young people, we just sit on the phone and scroll, and you're actually not consuming a bunch of bullshit like we are. So that's keep that up. That's a good
Well,
quality to
I guess I consume other kind of bullshit, but
have.
I'm a TV addict, so I really
Yeah.
watch like all night long. I love television.
I love it.
It's replaced movies. It's television. It's like movies for grown-ups since
Yeah.
movies have become for 12-year-old boys.
Do you have kind of like a nightly routine where you have a certain show that you watch, or do you just watch
No,
movies?
well, I have to, unfortunately, I have to also compromise with my husband. And since we don't have the same taste at all,
Of
so the
course.
first hour I watch things with him. So
Smart.
we watch the news and we watch, now we're watching reruns of an old show from the 70s called Carol Burnett and Friends. It is
Oh
fantastic.
my god.
Carol
Smart.
Burnett, Harvey Korman, Tim Conway. I mean, great. These are comedic giants if you like comedy,
Oh, of course.
especially physical comedy. We watch that, or we might watch, a little Jimmy Kimmel, and
Sure.
then as soon as he's out, then I can really relax and watch my shows. I can watch White Lotus and whatever.
So you're watching the new things then. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love
Good.
the new White Lotus and The Bear, and
Sure.
last year I went back and watched the entire series from the beginning of NYPD Blue,
Oh yeah,
and
good
it
show.
is genius. It is
Yeah.
absolute genius.
Well, especially I mean you're from New York, right?
I'm a New Yorker. Yes, I mean I'm
Oh.
exiled in LA, but I'm a New Yorker at heart.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, because I'm sure like that stuff resonates with you more. Like I used to love my father. He's from Jersey. His whole family. So that all those shows, it's got to be like some type of, especially being in Cali right now. You're probably like thinking, you're like, oh, I know that street. Like that's Seventh. That's Fifth. Like, is that how you
Well,
feel
how
when you
did
watch
you
this stuff?
how did you feel about The Sopranos?
I mean, me and my dad. That's our favorite show. It's the best.
It's incredible. It's like
It's the best show.
Shakespeare. People don't understand it.
Yeah.
People who don't watch it would say to me, "How can you watch that stuff? It's so violent." And I said, "You don't. It's
Yeah.
no more violent than Shakespeare,
That's
but
right.
the characters are complex.
Ooh,
They're not just one thing. A guy might be a killer, and he might be sentimental about animals, ducks and
that's right.
horses. I mean,
That's right. Yeah.
I thought it was an extraordinary show.
Well, and the best
Extraordinary in
part,
every
what
way.
I almost, if I could be frank with you here, I almost divorced my wife because she didn't like the show. This is how I feel
Oh
about
my
the show.
God, I don't blame
And
you. I'd call my lawyer. Even my husband watched it. I'd call my lawyer immediately. I don't know who was it who said, somebody said, well, I'm Italian and I'm offended by that kind of thing. And I wasn't sure how, I had to think about that.
yeah,
Could you see why Italians might be offended? Is it
well,
bringing
there's
up old, tired
yeah.
stereotypes? I don't know. What do you think?
I guess. I mean, because I'm part Italian. My father's full blood Italian. His when we
I've
watch.
been to Sicily. You'll want to go. If you haven't been, you
Oh,
want to
Annie,
go.
we actually just got back from Italy
No. Oh, you're
last
so
year.
lucky.
It
Oh, you're
was
so lucky.
it's so
It's the
fantastic.
best. It's the
And I think
best.
there's two types of Italians. There's one that is, from New York, that they look at the show, their grandparents are from Italy, and they're like, yeah, that's what I want to be, mafia this, mafia that, and they're kind of proud of the heritage. But then I think there's other Italians that I can kind of see how they think it's stereotypical, but you have to kind of think both ways, because it is stereotypical to fact that went down, but they also shaped New York. It's part of kind of the stereotypical, like, you might not think it's a bad thing, but really it's a great thing because we got so many great things from it.
Right.
And I think you just have
Yeah.
to kind of look at it from
The
both
thing
sides.
that interested me about that, and also The Godfather, which I watched. Benny and I
Oh
watched
yeah,
the Godfather trilogy uh, once every couple of years. We just
that's right.
watched the whole thing. I mean,
Gotcha.
over 3 days.
Of
But the
course,
thing that always impressed me was they had rules of behavior.
that's right.
There were rules. They had ethics. It's not law. They're not lawless. They have
Yeah,
their laws.
that's
There
right.
are things you can do, things you can't do.
Yeah,
And if you do the bad things, you have to pay the consequences.
yeah,
We're sorry to do this to you, but you ratted us, we have to kill you. We love you, but we have to kill you because
that's right.
you broke a rule. I always
That's right.
think that, there are certain things you don't do. You don't hurt
Yeah,
people's kids. You don't
that's
hurt,
right.
whatever.
Yeah. And I think if you write out their rules, quote unquote, their rule, I think if you write them out on paper and don't say it's the mafia, I think a lot of people would agree with it. Like, you fuck with my family, that's it, you're done. So it's like,
Right,
but
you
because
lied
it's
to me. You
right,
lied to me. You
yeah,
betrayed me. I mean,
yeah,
come on. The book is, since
please,
I was a storyteller
hmm
before I started doing TikTok. So when I went to TikTok, I had to take these 10-minute stories and reduce them to 60 seconds. Uh, so in the book, I can tell the full length version. And I always talk about what I think are the important subjects:
yeah,
dating, marriage, parenthood, eating, restaurants, thrifting. I've been a thrifter all my life because I grew up poor. I didn't know that thrifting was a big thing with young
yeah,
people. I had no idea. I never shop retail. I don't buy anything retail
so great.
except underwear and shoes. I mean, if you can see the house behind me, it's full of antiques, full of valuable things. I got them all on the cheap, thrift stores, yard sales, whatever.
I
So
love it.
thrifting, I talk about thrifting. What else do I talk about? Oh, well, the things that interest me, like books, movies, TV,
Yep.
the art, performing arts, theater. I want whatever I do, whether it's the book or my social media stuff, I want to be a place where people can come, how shall I say, to be inspired. I don't want any divisiveness,
Hmm.
which is why I never talk about politics
Smart.
or religion, except in some, sort of acceptable way.
Sure.
Um, and uh, and even though I take care not to be divisive, there are still haters, there are still trolls out there. You
Always.
know, who say
Always.
the stupidest thing. I mean, they're so stupid. I did a TikTok that's gotten millions of views. I think may have been during the pandemic, actually. I'm sitting outside in a cafe, okay, and I'm having a margarita and some chips and guac. And I say, boy, this is the best way I can think of to end the day, right? It got millions of views. Everybody loved it. And then this guy writes, yeah, typical entitled white lady doing cultural appropriation. Is it
Oh my
cultural
God.
appropriation? So I'm thinking of only Mexicans are allowed to eat guac and drink wine. I mean, it was so stupid. And I made a mistake. You shouldn't, but I actually responded. And I said,
Oh.
are you saying only Jews can eat bagels? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
It was stupid. You don't reply to those people.
Of
I've
course
learned
not.
that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
But
especially, I mean, right now, I think you're at like a 500,000 followers on TikTok. Is that where you're at now? Yeah, I mean, you're up
Yeah,
there.
pretty
Yeah.
much almost half a
So I mean,
million.
those
Yeah.
those definitely get loaded up. I mean, on Instagram, I think I'm only at like 52,000. My TikTok might be at 10,000. Like, so I just started
Well,
ramping up
you
my
have
TikTok.
52,000 on Instagram. See, that sounds like a lot to me. I don't,
Yes, ma'am.
since I don't understand it, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much have spent. I don't even know. I think they've been a platform for 15 years, maybe. So I've been on that more than obviously TikTok. TikTok's
Oh,
fairly new.
as I say, you're a pioneer. You were into all this stuff way before. And how
And
many
yeah,
on YouTube did you say?
YouTube, I think I only got 5,000 subscribers, maybe
Well, you say
now.
only. I'm trying to get 1,000. Remember, everybody, go to Eddie
Yeah.
Korzen videos on YouTube.
Yes.
I want to get up to 1,000. So
Yeah.
that
Do it
means
up.
you get paid, right? You get paid from YouTube.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Get monetized. Yep. Yeah. Well, and also Annie too. I put out probably I probably put out 3 or 4 videos a week, like long because of my podcast. I put that out once a week, so that obviously
Oh,
helps.
right, 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 right.
And I would even say like some of the stuff you do. Obviously, you're repurposing it from TikTok, right? Putting it on
Yes,
YouTube. Yeah.
yes, that's what
So
I'm doing.
it's just going to be time. I mean, you started TikTok during the pandemic, so probably in 3 years, 4 years, you'll be well surpassed where you're at TikTok. I think on YouTube if you just keep doing it.
There are that many. Well, really?
I think so.
That,
Yeah.
that
Well,
seems like a lot.
because my attitude, how I look at social media and how I tell like my clients, I look at social media is your audience is going to find you no matter what. So we talked earlier how YouTube was different than TikTok. So I think you
Yeah.
have a different audience on YouTube, but eventually your TikTok audience will migrate to YouTube. And I think that eventually in the next year or two is going to be kind of one platform. It's going to be the same people, but there's also going to be different people that don't follow you on TikTok and vice
But there's
versa.
something I don't understand. If
Yeah.
people follow me on TikTok, why would they want to go to YouTube to see the same material?
It's a good question. So what I would do, and people don't know this obviously, but like personally how I do things is my Instagram content is different than my TikTok content. Just how I
Your
do it.
Instagram. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
too
I
lazy.
make specific videos just for Instagram. Yeah.
But you're a full
So
timer because
I'm
I
a full
have other
timer.
things that I'm doing other
Yeah.
stuff. I should probably have like a private consultation to you one time to figure out some of the things that I don't know
Yeah.
about. Like I'm still trying, and I have somebody that I do use who helps me with all this stuff.
Because YouTube's a place where people learn and educate. So I think if you make that YouTube channel about educating maybe how you storytell or how you write a book, behind the scenes stuff, I personally would really enjoy seeing that type of stuff.
Oh, that's interesting because
Yeah.
I do teach storytelling, which I enjoy a lot.
Yeah. I would fucking have
Um,
someone film it. I would pay for someone to
so
film me and then I would post
yeah,
that on YouTube. You don't even have to edit it. You just post it. That's what I
huh?
would do. Yeah. Something to think about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But why, if I did it, why couldn't I just do it as well? Put it on TikTok as well. Oh, first
You
of all, because you're saying horizontal,
yeah,
which
it's
TikTok
the
doesn't like.
yeah, it's what's called the aspect ratio. So you got the horizontal style and then the TikTok is more. And also, when you're scrolling TikTok, I know you don't scroll a lot, but when you're scrolling TikTok, we always like kind of do this, we scroll. So
Right.
the vertical content is just better to do that versus when people are on
Also,
YouTube,
5 minutes is long for TikTok, right?
that's right. But it's perfect for YouTube. I mean, people spend, it just came out recently that YouTube is the #1 platform that people watch podcasts.
Huh,
So that means people
interesting.
just put on their YouTube and they
It
just
is
keep it
true.
in the
I do
background.
use it to figure out how to. What did I just do recently? Oh, I still haven't. I went to YouTube to figure out. I wanted to know how to crack my neck, how to crack my own neck. And sure enough, there are multiple videos of people, doing it.
Cracking it.
I don't think I did it correct. Maybe I'm a little scared to do it. I don't know. But it's true. I use
Yeah.
YouTube for instructions. I also did one recently of the correct way to peel a navel orange.
Oh, wow. See, there's a video
Because
for
I think
everything.
there's a technique to it. I want to know the right way to do it.
Yeah.
So you're right. I do use YouTube for information.
Yeah.
You're right. I was brought up in the Bronx. So this was basically a Jewish immigrant working class neighborhood. I always
Hmm.
hated it. I hated it even when I was a kid and I hadn't been anywhere else. I knew there's got to be something better than this. And one of the mantras when I was growing up in the neighborhood, people would always say, remember this, stick with your own kind.
Mm,
right? It's just something that someone in The Sopranos might say as
of course.
well. Any ethnic group that gets tribal and, insulated.
Yeah.
Uh, and one of the great things I've done in my life is disregard that. Because I think it's another reason maybe people watch me live my life. Because they see me with my friends who are white, black, gay, trans, whatever,
Yeah.
Christian. Uh, and that has really enriched my life a lot. So I think we're told a lot of things when we're growing up, and I think we have to question them. They're
Mm,
not all true,
so true.
and kids just they accept what they hear.
Yeah.
Most people have the same religion as their parents. Most people have the same politics as their parents.
Yeah.
And I think we have to maybe think a little bit more for ourselves, don't you?
I even saw this video that was really interesting where it put a baby that was like 6 months old inside this room with a bunch of snakes,
Oh my God.
but the baby wasn't afraid of it, obviously,
No,
because
it
they had no
wouldn't be,
idea.
right. Right.
So then it makes you think, wait a minute. So how did we eventually become afraid of snakes? Through either someone telling us they're scary, maybe something happened, but you can conceptualize that into other metaphors
Mhm.
where we're told all these things as a kid, and then eventually you believe it.
Yeah, but the thing is also, if a baby, whatever you tell a baby, a kid about themselves, they believe, right? So
Mm,
if you say to a kid, you're a dumb piece of garbage, that kid is not going to end up at Oxford.
right.
I mean, if you, from the moment my grandson was born, I said to him, "Why do I love you? Because you're smart, you're beautiful, you're kind, and you're gentle." And that became our mantra. I love you because you're smart, you're beautiful, you're kind, and you're gentle. And my grandson is, guess what? Smart, beautiful, kind, and gentle. And he will go to, and he's also a genius. Not following what you're told as kids and also not following the rules. I
Mm,
had one of the more serious chapters in my book, although I try to make it funny, is I had a terribly, terribly serious postpartum depression. And the reason I had it was I felt incompetent because I couldn't do what I was told you had to do. I wasn't able to have natural childbirth. I wasn't
mm,
able to breastfeed. And I thought, okay, I'm the worst mother that ever lived. There's no hope for me.
yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways to do something, including having a baby. And the ending is I have a very, very unusually close and loving relationship with my son and his family. Really the best mother that ever lived. But at that point, I really wanted to kill myself. I just felt I totally failed because I believed all those stupid fucking rules. And there
Yeah.
are no rules. You have to find your own way to do stuff.
Well said. Because we're all making this shit up, right, Annie? I mean,
Right,
we don't
right.
know anything. We're all
Improvising.
learning.
We're all no one. That's actually a statement, a big statement in showbiz in Hollywood, where I live. That
Oh.
people, I don't know if you've heard this one before. They say in Hollywood, there's one rule in the movie business.
Hmm.
One rule in the movie business: nobody knows anything, and that's true. I mean, if you think about all the movies that were despised that became global hits and all this, and the
Yeah.
the movie stars that were very unlikely, like Dustin Hoffman, whoever thought that that little funny looking guy would become a great. I mean, that nobody knows anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. And I think you're personally, from what I've seen, a testament to that in the best way. And the best way to
Yeah,
compliment you is you are, and you say in your book numerous times, the title, accidental influencer. I mean, you literally have just been you. And if someone wrote down on paper, oh, how do I become an influencer on TikTok? It would not be Annie. But you have done it.
no.
You have done it.
But you know what bothers me, Tony? You know what
Hmm.
bothers me a lot? That nowadays I understand that sometimes when you ask kids, like maybe adolescents, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? And they'll say,
Hmm.
I want to be an influencer. That really disturbs me
Yeah.
because all that means is, which I do understand, they want attention. They want to be
Yeah.
rich and famous. I get that. I'd like that.
Yeah.
But how shall I say, an influencer is not a career. I'm an influencer because I'm a writer and a humorist and a thinker, right? Because I think I have something to say.
Yeah.
It's my profession. I would never describe my profession as an influencer.
Right.
I'm an actor writer, is what I am, actor
Yeah.
slash writer. But to say I want to be an influencer means that they're not, because they haven't given any thought to the actual, another word that's hard to use now, to the actual content
Yeah.
of what they do. Where do you get the
Yeah.
content? It means you have to have some thoughts and some imagination and some creativity. They don't think about that at all, do they?
That's right. Yeah. Creativity is the essence of everything, I think. Whether you want to be an actor or an artist or a podcaster or
Absolutely.
even an influencer, you have to have that creativity, but that has to stem from something. It has to grow, I think, too, where a lot of people, to your point, just want to wake up one day and be like, oh, I want to be a millionaire and be an influencer.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
want to be rich and famous is what it is. I mean, hello, who doesn't? But
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. Some people don't.
Yeah. Easier said than done. Hopefully people understand that. But I mean, your book lays out so many great things. I'm going to leave everything in the description below. I'm going to leave your YouTube and your TikTok for everyone
Oh, great.
listening
Oh,
and
I'd love
watching.
that.
Yeah, I'll
Oh,
leave that there.
wait a minute. We're on video. Did I show the book?
Oh, there you go. A little bit to your
Whoops.
left.
This is like, I see, I could never be a
There you go.
pilot. You
The
have to,
Book of Annie.
there we
Dun, dun,
are. But you can
dun.
see why they might have thought it was Annie the musical. Look, I'm dressed just like Annie.
And
Little
coming
orphan
soon,
Annie.
coming soon to
Oh.
Broadway is The Book of Annie. No, Annie,
Okay,
listen,
then.
it's been so great to get to know you and to learn from you. I'd love to talk to you some more. You're a true inspiration. I appreciate
I
your
loved it.
time.
I loved it. Can I come back tomorrow? Can I come
Sure,
back every day? We have a lot more that we haven't covered.
we do. Yeah, we have a lot. Maybe I'll do a part 2. I'm down for a part 2 if you are.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I
let's
like
do it.
that.
But Annie,
I'm going to
thanks
stay
again.
on 1 second after we're done.
Sure, I love it. Go check her out there on YouTube as well as pick up her book on Amazon. I'll leave everything below. Annie, thank you so much again. Appreciate you.